Okay, sorry about that, guys. I'm dead tired, and I got lost in my thoughts. So I'm going to continue the. We're going to get back to the mapping, but I'm just going to show you one example of a function that you may have seen is like a function machine where you have a rule like double and add 1. Okay, so like if I put a, so here's our input or our x or our independent. Okay, let's put a 2 in there. Okay, it's going to get through here. It's going to get doubled, so the 2 is going to become 4. We're going to add 1. It's going to be 5, and our output is a 5. Okay, in a mapping, that would look like this: 2, 5. In a table, it would look like this. Okay. Think about what it would look like on a graph. So to remind you, we had a little function machine going. I'm going to draw it over here, I guess. No, not a line. Here's our function machine. That may be hard for you to see. That's okay, because you can remember, and that's not supposed to be solid right there. But we input a 2, and we output came a 5. To remind you, input is x, output is 5. So as an ordered pair, that would look like this. 2, 5. Because input is x, output is y. So we have an input of 2, an output of 5. This is what it looks like on the graph. Okay. So, in a mapping, did I show the mapping? I think I did. Okay. So to remind you, oh my God, a function. It's really fighting me today, you guys. Okay. Function. Every input is paired with one output. So that's going to look like this. In a mapping, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. The input of -2, 0, 1, 4. So this function rule that I showed us earlier is times itself. Or otherwise known as squaring, but I'll say times itself. So in goes a -2. We do -2 times itself. We get +4. Out comes a +4. That looks like this on the mapping. Now we'll pop in a -1. Do -1 times itself. -1 times -1 is +1. That goes here. Whoops, I meant to do that in pink. 0 goes in. 0 times itself is 0. +1 goes in. Oh, I forgot to show the outs. -2 goes in, out comes 4. -1 goes in, out comes 1. +1 goes in, 1 times 1, out comes 1. So +1 also goes to 1. And +2 goes to 4. So these are our inputs. This says every input is paired with one output. Okay? Negative 2 is an input. It only has one output, 4. Okay, so I'm just going to redraw this. You probably don't need to erase. Mine is so messy that I'm going to erase and redraw. I'm just going to make it bigger so we're going to look at the same one. Negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2. Here's our input, or our x. Here's our output. Okay, negative 2 is the input. It goes to 1. It is paired with 1 output. Negative 1 is paired with 1 output. 0 is paired with 1 output. 1, okay, this output, the output of 1 has 2 inputs. That doesn't matter. That's okay. The rules of a function say every input is paired with 1 output. It does not say every output. This is a different sentence. Every output is paired with 1 input. It does not have to happen. So I'm going to put a big, this is like a no. This does not have to happen. Every input needs to be paired with 1 output. Okay, so if we look at all of our inputs, they just have 1 arrow coming from them. This has 1 output, this has 1 output, this has 1 output, this has 1 output, this has 1 output. Yes, it is a function. Okay, I'm going to show you a mapping of one that isn't a function. I should have made this bigger. I can't, this won't let me erase. Let's get rid of this 4. Okay. This is not a function because this input has 2 outputs. We're looking for every input has 1 output. And that is not true here. So that is not a function. Okay, so I'm going to put 2 tables up here. Actually, hold on. I'm going to pause. Okay, I found a couple of practices for us. So just to remind you, this says domain and range. That is input, output. To remind you, a function, we're looking for every input has 1 output. So we're going to look at the inputs here. 100 has 1 output, 200 has 1 output, 300 has 1 output. Yes, this is a function. Whereas over here, our input of 3 has 2 different outputs. Nope, not a function. When you're looking at it in a table, an input of 1 has an output of 2. An input of 2 has an output of 4. An input of 3 has an output of 6. Every input has 1 output. Yes, this is a function. Okay, we're going to talk about how to look at it in a graph in class tomorrow. So that's your introduction to what is a function.